there, it's Ms. Rhodes with today's Read Aloud. Before we start reading, I want to talk about a word we're going to be listening for in the Read Aloud and the kind of word that you're going to be using in your writing this week. This word is adjectives. You might have heard that word already in another reading lesson and writing lesson. Adjectives are words that describe nouns, and nouns are naming words. They're things like people or animals or just things. So adjectives describe or tell more about things, or more about people, or more about animals. An adjective could tell what something looks like, what something feels like. Adjectives describe how something tastes, or smells, or sounds. So are you thinking of some adjectives already? You might say something looks colorful, or it feels soft. Maybe it tastes sweet, or smells rotten. Something can sound loud. Those are adjectives. It can also answer a question like what kind, how many, or which one. So if you said there are 4 stinky socks, 4 and stinky are adjectives. Be listening as I read the story to hear what adjectives the author uses to describe Piggies. So the name of the story is Piggies. The author is Audrey Wood and Don Wood. They're a husband and wife, and they work together to write the story. Then Don Wood does the illustrations. Piggies. Piggies, written by Dawn and Audrey Wood, illustrated by Don Wood. I've got 2 fat little piggies. Can you tell what his piggies are? They're his thumbs. Those are his piggies. There's somebody's thumb and a fat little piggy on it, and the other thumb with another fat little piggy. Did you hear the adjectives that describe those piggies? There are 2 fat little piggies. 2 fat and little are adjectives. I've got 2 smart piggies. That's your next finger, your pointer finger. The adjectives there with those smart piggies are 2 smart and little. They have them reading books and raising his hand, being smart. 2 long piggies. Look at your long middle finger. There's the boy's long middle finger, and they made some long little piggies on top. The adjectives that describe these piggies, well, there are 2 of them, and they're long. Long is an adjective. 2 and long and little are all adjectives. Then 2 silly little piggies. Your ring finger, the next to last one, are these piggies. They are silly. This guy's upside down, dressed like a clown. This guy's looking crazy with a funny hat. The adjectives were 2 and silly and little. Silly is a great adjective to describe those pigs. And 2 wee little piggies. The tiny, tiny fingers on your end, those are your wee little piggies. The piggies meaning the finger, and then they drew the wee little piggy on the finger. So here, 2 and little are adjectives, and wee is a special adjective that describes your little finger. Sometimes they're hot little piggies. Hot and little are adjectives. Do you see how he showed it was hot? There's a bright sun, he's splashing and diving, sprinkling water on someone, wearing a swimsuit. Those are hot little piggies. Hot and little describe those pigs. And sometimes they're cold little piggies. Oh, look at in the winter wearing mittens. Now the piggies are cold and throwing snowballs back and forth. The adjectives would be cold and little. Sometimes they're clean little piggies. Look at that, taking a bubble bath, and the piggies are blowing bubbles and washing themselves and popping bubbles and covered in bubbles and even floating. Did you hear the adjectives? What describes these piggies? Well, they're clean and little piggies. So clean and little are our adjectives here. Oh no, not a good page. And sometimes they're dirty little piggies. It's just a mess of mud, and the piggies, the boy's fingers, and the piggies drawn, are covered in mud. What describes those piggies? What tells how they look? The adjective dirty. They are dirty little piggies. You could have used other adjectives. Can you think of one? Like they're muddy, or they're gross, or they're sticky. Sometimes they're good little piggies. So look at how good they are. They're just dancing around, being happy, being in love. They are good little piggies. Good and little describe those piggies. But not at bedtime. That's when they skip down my tummy, dance on my toes. He's dancing on his toes with his piggies. And run away and hide. So the piggies are hiding. So I put them together all in a row. For 2 fat kisses, 2 smart kisses, 2 long kisses, 2 silly kisses. So now we have adjectives describing the kisses. They can be 2 fat, 2 smart, 2 long, and 2 silly kisses. And 2 wee kisses good night. Did you enjoy that book? Now I'll read it through without stopping to talk on every page. Some children like to hear it that way too. Piggies by Audrey and Don Wood. Piggies. Piggies. Be listening still for the adjectives that describe to say what the piggies look like. I've got 2 fat little piggies, 2 smart little piggies, 2 long little piggies, 2 silly little piggies, 2 wee little piggies. Sometimes they're hot little piggies. Oh, sometimes they're cold little piggies. Sometimes they're clean little piggies. And sometimes they're dirty little piggies. Sometimes they're good little piggies. But not at bedtime. That's when they skip down my tummy, dance on my toes, and then run away and hide. So I put them together all in a row for 2 fat kisses, 2 smart kisses, 2 long kisses, 2 silly kisses, and 2 wee kisses good night. Did you hear the adjectives? When it's time for writing, you'll be using adjectives to describe your piggies. And I don't mean the piggies on the farm, I mean your fingers. So be thinking of words that you could use to describe your piggy fingers. And I'll see you in writing.